struggle?
I mean, some of my best friends are teachers and they're amazing and they're still teaching.
Yep.
But I do think, the fact we've had so many strikes, I can't even remember how many strike days we've had just in 2023. Like, and this at university as well. Great lecturers going on strike.
Mm-hmm.
So although at the moment I see those people who really, love teaching, they don't want to go anywhere. But it does make me wonder, where are we going to be in a year's time? Obviously, some people have left already,
Mm-hmm.
And they're finding, their kind of new pathway. Like, I'd say every week I see a couple of tweets on Twitter saying, right, I'm off to something else now, like goodbye teaching. And I think that's great for them as well, because I think you need to know, you need to be true to yourself. And I don't think it's, if this is the end of your teaching journey, don't feel guilt for that. You're doing the right thing for you. Like, for me, I was kind of at that point. I've been teaching for 11 years, teaching children. And then I did question, is this the end of my education journey? Because loads of things were going on for me. But I knew in my heart that I still needed to teach. And that's when the lectureship came up. I became a lecturer. So I think those people that do want to teach will always find a way. And I know people who've left and started their own consultancy, now they go into schools and things. So I think, because I kind of agree with you what you're saying, that maybe there is something innate in us. And I do think for those people, even if they do leave teaching, they'll still do something purposeful. But to keep them, I think, they just need better conditions. They just need, and I know it's very different over there. I know a lot of you have to buy your own resources. I'm often sharing lists for people on Twitter and things. But over here, similarly, a lot of people now having to use their own money to buy things for school, and often you can claim some back on expenses, but with the funding crunches. So 30 is a lot. 30 children is a lot. So you might think, I want to buy one pair of good luck socks. I've seen some very sweet stuff on social media this week, giving children good luck socks to do their exams. But one pair of socks is fine. By the time you bought 30 pairs of socks, it soon adds up. And when you're not being paid enough, and I think back to the other thing you said, Aaron, that all the things we do, so we're kind of like the parent in situ. We're also the teacher who has to deliver some content. We are like a psychologist. We're a coach. We're a nurse for, when they've fallen over and they come in.
Bloody nose.
You do everything, but you're not getting the pay packet of doing all those things. So you're doing everything, but you're getting paid a very small amount. And I think if things are going to change, that's what people need, is to be paid for their time. Because, also, as you said, that clock finishes at, 3:15 or 3:30 or 6 p.m. by the time you've stayed and done your marking. But you're always thinking about them because you care. So even though you might be, you've closed your laptop, you're still thinking about them. You're still, I remember when I was working with younger children, I used to like save all my yogurt pots, ready to take them in for some junk modeling, and you're just so immersed in it that it is exhausting, and you just want to be appreciated for what you do.
Big time. I actually was in a discussion, and I want to talk about teacher unions and strikes and whatnot too, but I was in a discussion with the teachers union rep and a few others, and they were talking about, we're fighting for you. We're fighting to get better teacher pay. And I sat there and I said, I really don't need more money. I need to enjoy what I do again. And I think there's a lot of teachers that feel that way, because at least in what I've noticed in our school systems here, and a lot of American teachers I've talked to, the solution for a lot of issues in school systems is to dump the issue onto the teacher and make the teacher solve it. And that needs to change. And I know that, ideally it'd be great to have not just special educator assistants, but I think every grade level needs an assistant. You need, it takes a village, and to have a 1-on-30 classroom setup is insane, because even if every student is perfectly behaved, and I can't imagine one 8-year-old or 9-year-old willing to sit at their desk for 8 hours. Like, to me, it's like, no, we got to go touch some grass. Come on, let's go. but I feel like it's more to do with feeling like the teacher that I know I could be. And like there's when you have both hands tied behind your back for all these different reasons, you don't feel safe, you don't feel supported, you don't feel appreciated. It's tough to be that superstar teacher. And what's worse is I think we're all also our worst critics. When I'm getting observed for a teaching lesson, I feel like it's going a lot worse than the teacher the person observing me, because I know everything I did wrong, even if nobody else noticed it. And I have to remind myself, like, no, the kids didn't know, and the person observing definitely didn't know. Or if they did, it's something trivial. But I think that it's that desire, because when you know what kind of awesome rock star teacher you could be, and you don't have the energy, the morale, or in some cases you're not allowed to because of certain policies or regulation, it's really tough to really get excited about teaching. Have you felt that way, or have you had friends that felt that way?
I mean, so obviously I'm not in the primary school now, so yeah. I have to also like just appreciate I was there 6 years ago, so 6 years I've been lecturing.
Long time, yeah.
But I mean, I think things seem to be worse now in terms of the things teachers are having to do, because a lot of funding for external agencies or things have been cut. So, you're doing more of maybe mental health support. Obviously, you've come through a pandemic in that time. But even when I was a teacher, many moons ago, there certainly were times where, there were things you wanted to do, but you couldn't because you hadn't done a risk assessment, and obviously we need to keep children safe, but
yes,
there's that point where you almost feel like I'm not even going to plan. It would put you off doing things. You thought, I want to take the children to the local pond, but I've got to then I'll have to do a risk assessment, I have to do all of this. And so, I mean, that's a bad example. That sounds like I'm someone who doesn't like risk assessments, but I guess sometimes it felt to me like the policy and procedures weren't always the most user-friendly, which, was taking up so much of your time when you needed that time and energy for the classroom. Equally marking. So kind of one school I worked in, again, no names, but the marking policy was so heavy that, okay, I was only teaching in the classroom 9 till 3:15, but then I was marking for another 6 hours, straight after school from like 3 till 10, because the school had a policy where you had to do, write one pink comment, write one green comment, highlight at least 5 things in yellow highlighter, put a next steps marking comment. And you know that when you give the books out the next day, they're just going to turn to the new page ready to start the lesson. They don't care. The majority don't want to read feedback. They don't want to act on it. So I think for people who maybe are in schools where there are some of these policies that don't seem the most user-friendly, certainly for me, marking was a big one. But equally, I've seen schools where, they're sufficient, just like with a tick and a comment is enough. And, the children would see that you put a smiley face and they're happy with that.
Yeah, it means more to a kid that they got a Pokemon sticker than, any kind of like, hey, I really like the way you conjugated that verb. They're not reading that. They're going to go show Mom, I got Pikachu. That's what they're going to come home. Catch full episodes of the Educators podcast every Thursday at 4 p.m. Real educators with the real issues in education. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, take care of yourself. Jeans passes for anyone who likes, shares, and comments on this video. Have a great week.